Testing. Okay, hey, is this thing on? It sure is. Okay, guys, so I'm just going to give you a quick overview. I thought it would be a good idea to give you a lay of the land of how we're going to roll this month in Portfolio 2, okay? So you guys have got your animation training, so we're going to test you a little bit here, all right? So there's going to be two major projects. Sounds easy, but it's going to be a little complicated, so that's why I want to show you. There's going to be a jump project that's going to be staged in week 1 and 2, okay? And we're going to do a change of direction project, mechanics as far as walking, and that's going to be your weeks 3 and 4 projects, okay? So let's dive in. I figured I'd start here. I'm calling this the connection, applied principles of animation. That's where we're upping it, I think, a notch, and I'm trying to make the connection this month with you about the applied principles of animation and how they're just applied across the board in everything you're animating at any point at any time. Just kind of showing you the evolution of the idea of a bouncing ball. You can see up top, right? The bouncing ball, the use of the principles of animation as far as arcing, slow in and slow out, squash and stretch, exaggeration, timing, spacing, all that great stuff. Apply that same kind of thinking and you can bounce a character's arm, right? Apply that same thinking to jumping a character and you are dealing with a lot of the same principles of squash and stretch, slow in and slow out, timing and spacing, right? We see on the right here, we see this pendulum arm swinging back and forth, okay? Just the understanding of what's leading, what's following, how things move in arcs, you know, and you can see a bunch of different examples of, you know, arm, but just animated in more of an abstract form as far as if it were more of a pendulum. Take that same kind of thinking and apply it to how a character down here would really pick up his arm and what's leading, what's following, how it would arc, and you can kind of connect the dots. So that's the idea, making the connection, really applying these principles to your performance, and never forgetting about one of the most invaluable ones, I think, is exaggeration, okay? So the month is going to look like this. So week 1, I'll just play them both. Week 1, you're going to have really two main projects to kind of kick out. I'm going to introduce you to the Bob rig, okay? Now Bob is going to be our link from you guys playing like an animator and thinking like an animator and really applying it to character animation, okay? We're going to start off simply by just bouncing Bob like a ball, okay? Thinking about Bob as if he were just 3 pieces of geometry. These 3 pieces of geometry ultimately represent a character's body, his core, okay? So we're not going to forget that as we do this, but we're also going to just treat him with no respect and bounce the heck out of him, okay? I'm going to talk about leading and following, so that's going to be step 1. For you people in online, you're going to have to wrangle this. In campus people, we're going to be kind of breaking this down in labs. That would be lab 1. Lab 2, or step 2, is going to be, we're going to jump Bob then, okay? And really there's not a big difference between handling a jump and handling a bounce. A lot of the same principles are involved, although we're going a little bit more character driven now. We're going to treat him a little bit more like a character. We're going to anticipate, we're still going to squash and stretch and peak and slow in and slow out, okay? So we're going to jump Bob next. That is milestone 1. So week 2 is where we're going to up it up, ramp it up a bit, and we're going to return to what we're calling the T300 because he's got a few more controls on him this month, and we're going to jump him much like we jumped Bob. And the idea here is, can you make the connection to how you jumped Bob? And we're thinking very broadly and very cartoony and much like, I hope, an animator, and can you apply that to how you're posing and creating that same sort of change in your character to get that squash and stretch? So you're going to have the whole week 2 to kind of block that out, break it down, and bring it to completion, your T300 jump, okay? So that would be the jump project. Moving on, We're going to move on to the change of direction project, okay? So you guys will have reference to choose from, anything from some more simpler stuff to a little bit more complicated. And the idea is getting a little bit more complicated with how we translate through the world, okay? With not just a straight path. So you're going to be blocking out your contacts using your reference as a guide. I'm going to have you lay out some footsteps like you were dancing and build your contacts. That same week, although my head's in the way over there, you're going to then take Bob again, and you're going to bounce, or I should say hop Bob, from footstep to footstep. And you'll kind of turn back on the visibility of those poles so that Bob has something to hop on. Again, I'm trying to get you guys to connect the dots between the weight of a step and how it's created by the use of squash and stretch, which is going on when Bob has to hop from point to point. So that is week 3. Week 4 then gives you the whole week then to take and finish up your change of direction. Now, moving on from Bob's weight, I want you to translate that same kind of weight into your character, at least to a certain degree, and make it work, okay? Without forgetting that instead of relying heavily on your reference, you need to think like an animator and create that weight of the character by the squash and stretch and bouncing of your character. And ultimately then clean up and finish your scene. We're going to ask you guys to throw a couple of lights in it, turn on your shadows, and use Viewport 2.0 to make it look a little bit prettier also. Okay, guys? And that will be your month. So I will see you in all the other hoopla babble sessions, okay? See you then. Bye-bye.